Right, I'm delighted to be joined by NFL legend Shawne Merriman. We've got a massive event coming up, LXF 21. But before we get into that, I want to know what got you into this position, right? What's your MMA journey? Who were some of the fighters that you really enjoyed watching?
Matter of fact, my first MMA fight was 2005 UFC was Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell. That was my first MMA fight ever in 2005. I knew when I walked into that room and I had that felt that energy, because I'm normally used to walking out to big crowds anyway, right? Playing and you got 70,000 people screaming, so I'm used to that. But this is a different kind of energy when I walked in, and I was like, man, this is something that I can see myself being around. And then the following year, getting a chance to meet Randy Couture and then training with him during the off seasons. So that kind of led me. I started meeting all the coaches, all the managers, all the gyms, because I would bounce around from gym to gym. Before you know it, I was getting the guys fight camps during the off season, training with them. And so it's one of these things that I kind of fell into that I always loved to be around.
Yeah, Randy Couture is an absolute legend, and it's fitting you bring him up because he fought the great James Toney. Lights out, he shares a nickname with your good self, so it was always like you were destined to do something in combat sports, right? So, can you tell me a little bit about how this nickname originated? Because I heard that it wasn't just one person, two people, three people, it was four people you knocked out in one game.
Yeah, yeah. Four people my sophomore year in high school knocked out four kids in one game. And then I had about 20 students come run up to me after the game and say, you know what, you knocked those kids lights out. And I was like, you know what? Call me lights out. And that name stuck with me. And then every level, right? So you get into college, you go to Division I college, you got these big games on ESPN and NBC where everybody's watching. And so now you get a chance to put it on a, kind of a national grand scale, right? At first it was like a folk tale that everybody like. You hear about this, you hear about this kid knocking for like, no, he didn't do that. And then it happened on ESPN my freshman year at the University of Maryland, and then everybody's like, oh, that's that lights out guy that we've been hearing about. So it just kind of grew, and obviously you got to go out there and play, man. You can't have a nickname like lights out and not go out there and perform because people will light you up.
It's amazing that you've gone on this journey, right? Taking it from all the way back then to bringing it into this promotion, which has obviously got a big event coming up at the weekend. Sell it to me. Who's on the card? Who've we got to look forward to?
Man, we got a slam packed card this Saturday in Long Beach, California. People can go get their tickets at lightsoutxf.com. And also we'll be live on Lights Out Sports TV, which is my network. But let me tell you, this is kind of special because our commentator, Blake Bulletproof Troop, is coming out the booth, getting into the cage, possibly for his last and final fight. And everybody's come out to see Blake. He is like a hometown, local, the amount of tickets this dude sold alone himself. And two, man, he's on the mic for us. The reason why, I kind of hired him and brought him in, he's so damn articulate about the sport, right? You hear him talk and he can walk you through. And obviously, me being on TV, I understand like when I see somebody that's really good because they can break down to the point where the average Joe Blow couldn't understand, man. So I can't wait to see him. Arnold Jimenez, who's 10-3 right now, is cranking, fighting Keenan Lewis, who's coming off a 5-fight win streak right now. I mean, that fight is going to be an absolute banger between these guys. And I think one of these two guys at some point in time may have a shot at the UFC, down the road. Jake Babian, everybody watch Jake. He is so damn entertaining. He was like, if you just around, and it's him. He's not putting on this front, man. He's like a showman. He talks, he walk the walk, he back it up. This is his first fight with us. And then we got who else we got in this card? He's fighting Jose Matus. But Sloan, the caveman, dude, this dude is like he's fighting at 190. But if you see him, he comes across as a much bigger person. This is his second fight with us. We were at the last fight. We were at the weigh-ins, and kind of when everybody sees me up in person, because what's funny at the weigh-ins, and some of these guys who I met for the first time, and I was their favorite player, right? Or they watched me when they were kids, and so they see me in person and be like, "Damn, you're big in person." With this dude Sloan, the caveman, he's fighting at 190. He got to be every bit of walking around about 240 doing when he's not in fight weight. He's so damn big. So can't wait to see him. But we got a stacked card, man. We got seven pro and seven amateur on this one.
Fantastic. It's great to hear you talking with so much passion. It's great to see you in this promoter role. If I was to give you a magic wand and you could sign any player right now from the NFL and bring them to fight in your promotion, who would you go for?
Probably, you know what? Yeah, I'm a big fan of Khalil Mack. Like Khalil Mack is a guy that is built different. He's explosive. I would love to get him converted over to MMA. Derwin James. So I'm just starting with the Chargers, but you got some other guys out there. We've seen some massive brawls break out in the Houston with the Texans Jaguars game. What's his name? Alzi, the cornerback that came up late that the big hit on Trevor Lawrence. You know, those guys broke out. You got to believe this, man. And I said this before, and maybe it's not catching on just yet. There's going to be an up and coming former athlete, with NFL or something like that. They're going to come up, and they're not going to be the guy that played 10 years, 15 years, made a lot of money and stuff like that. We're gonna find the guy that had a 3 or 4 year career, pissed off because he got cut, traded, or maybe a bad coaching staff. Maybe he didn't get the opportunity to get on the field like he wanted to. That guy is going to become the champ one day. I guarantee you. And I'm saying this because I know the learning curve I had when I started training with a lot of these guys. I was raw and athletic, and I can hang in there with some of the best of them. But, you know, I didn't really have the time to take all the training and stay consistent with it like I want, because I was working with the WWE. I was doing a bunch of TV work with NFL Network and Fox Sports. But it's going to be somebody to say, you know what? I got maybe, you know, kind of cut over here, released, traded, and I'm pissed off, and I want to go kick somebody's ass. That's what's going to happen, because you got a lot of guys that's disgruntled, but got the physical ability to come over and dominate in this sport. But you're going to have to take it serious. You got to get into a good training camp, get into a good fight camp, get into a good gym that knows how to work with them. But I guarantee you, man, you got at the middleweight or light heavyweight, you're going to have a former athlete, and I would say NFL first before anybody else, that's going to transition over and become a world champ, guaranteed.
I mean, you mentioned there Aziz Al-Shir and that massive hit he had. Could you tell me a little bit about that as a former linebacker? What did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was cheap. Man. My thing is this. You got 60 minutes, you got 4 quarters to do something to another player, right? So if you want to kick his ass, you want to knock him out, you want to do a clean shot, there's so many opportunities during the game if you want to go get after a guy. That a guy's not only is he defenseless, but you're talking about traumatizing somebody or having some kind of permanent damage that he might have to live with for the rest of his life. This is not like he went after his knee or he went after his shoulder or landed on him wrong or anything like that. You directly hit him and his head hit off the back of the ground, which everybody knows in football, that is the number one way to get a concussion. The back of your head is soft. So when your back of your head hits that ground, it is a high possibility that you're going to have a concussion. I was more pissed off at the reaction afterwards and him starting to fight, right? Because when you fight as your teammate, now I got to fight. You know, you're bringing me into your BS because you did something wrong, and now there's fines, there's suspensions all over the damn team because you got one guy who want to play dirty. So I'm all about a big hit. I do think the NFL sometimes make it hard for guys like myself to go out and play the game. But when you got a player out there as dirty as what we've seen against Trevor Lawrence, it's no need for that in the game at all, ever.
Absolutely. And you mentioned yourself there and what a great player you were at the peak of your powers. If you could compare your style on the football field to that of an MMA fighter in the cage, who do you think you'd go for?
I would say honestly, man, back when Alistair Overeem, it was funny. I used to get compared to him a lot when I was traveling. Whenever I travel outside of the States, people always thought that I was that. Rampage was, Quentin Jackson was one of my favorite fighters in his style because his ability to pick you up and power bomb you and slam you and have that big knockout power. When he was scary, like you walk in that ring, he's get to howling and he's walking and playing this music. That chain is on. He's scaring people before he got there. And then me coming to the field when the nickname Lights Out, you're like, that dude is coming to knock somebody out. He's coming to cause problems. So you almost, in a way, install that fear into somebody before the game or that match even starts. So I would say that. I don't know about current guys, because unfortunately there's not a whole lot of, I love Cyril Gahn. I love watching him, but he's more of a, of a kickboxer, stand-up guy, and he's more of a technician when it comes to that. I saw Francis in Ghana. We trained some time up there at Extreme Couture, so I've seen him in there, which is a big dude. That looks like he played football. So yeah, there's a couple guys here and there. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned so many of these great MMA fighters that you've met in person, that you've trained with. Going to your NFL career, who do you think was the best you ever shared the field with,
Player wise,
player-wise?
um, on either side of the ball, offense and defense.
Either side of the ball, yeah.
I mean, for sure, LaDainian Thompson. I mean, I don't, it was, watching him every day in practice, it was like, people got to the game and they saying, wow, he did all these moves and these cuts and these things. I was like, he's doing that during the week, doing a regular average Wednesday or Thursday practice. This was just him. And he's in my top 3 running backs all time. Well, however you want to put him at, you can put, Barry Sanders up there. You can put, maybe Jim Brown or Earl Campbell or Eric Dickerson, but LaDainian Tomlinson is in that top 3 running back to me, no matter what. And I'm not saying it to be biased. I watched him every day, and so I can say that with confidence. Antonio Gates too. I mean, Antonio Gates. You can put him up there as a top 1 or 2, tight end ever. So I played with some guys.
And what do you think the craziest memory is of your entire career, either on the field or off the field?
Man, I had 3 or 4 sacks on Monday Night Football starting the season out in 06. And to do that in the Raiders Stadium, there was no better feeling because I hated them. I mean, I still do, but I hated them a lot back then. I hated those damn Raiders. And to have a big night, Monday Night Football, everybody's watching. It's probably 20 plus million people watching the game, and you go and you have a game like that, and you're getting after the team who you hate the most, a divisional rival. Nothing can replace that feeling because there was real hatred there, and to do that to them, it was a big deal and remembered, throughout the San Diego fan base forever.
I mean, I'm really glad you bring up the Raiders there because in MMA, trash talk is vital, right? And that's something you can do. There's a hilarious video on social media of you asking people to help Raiders fans. It made me chuckle. So tell me about putting that video together. And when you're looking to sign fighters, are you looking for people who can do stuff like that? And is there anybody on your books, in your promotion, that can do that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that Raiders video is going to go down as one of the best all time. I think it got like 5 or 10 million views on social media at one point. I'm going to be the biggest troll for them until the day I die. Trust me, I'm going to troll the hell out of them because they deserve every bit of it. But also too, man, you got to have fun with it, right? When the great thing about sports in general is the fan bases go against each other, the fighters or the players go against each other. There's always a back and forth, and that's what makes sports great. Trust me, as much as the Raiders hate that I do that shit, they also respect it because they know that, hey, look, man, this guy got a real hate, right? He has a real a disdain for us, and we hate him too. And that's what makes sports great. And yeah, we got guys with personality. Like what I just talked about, Jake Babian. Jake Babian is one of the ones that is not afraid to go at anybody at any point in time. So I'll see. Sometimes for me, because I don't mind the trash talk. That's one of the biggest things I miss about the NFL locker room is being in there, that competitive spirit. Guys will say anything to you. There is nothing off limits in the locker room. And when you're on the field, somebody will talk about your family, your kids, your job, it doesn't matter, right? It was all about competition for those 60 minutes. So sometimes when I see some of the fighters going back and forth, I'm looking like, oh, okay, yeah, they're about to really get after it, So I don't necessarily mind it. I come from the other side of that. And I think that's really because of my former athlete like attitude that I still carry.
Absolutely. And looking at a couple of your old sides, firstly, the Buffalo Bills, what have you made of what they've done this season and what Josh Allen's been doing?
Man, he should be up for the MVP. I mean, that last game they had against San Fran, he was out there doing everything himself. But even before that, this is a team that has quietly won a lot of games. It's not really getting attention that they deserve. Everybody want to talk about the Chiefs and talk about Detroit and talk about some of these other teams. I'm even seeing the Steelers get a lot of credit in the public eye and all that stuff, but people are not talking about how good the Buffalo Bills really are. And maybe that's because people have been let down in the past, but this is a different team. This is not the same team it was last year. They can get over that hump. I said that I believe that my Chargers and the Buffalo Bills are going to see each other in the playoffs, maybe the AFC Championship game. I don't think, believe it or not, I don't believe the Kansas City Chiefs are as good as people think. They just know they're just winning games right now. They won their last 2 games by a blocked field goal. and a botched snap by the Raiders. You know, you don't want to win games that way. So I think my Bills and Chargers, man, could see each other sometime in the playoffs.
Fantastic, Sean. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. But before I let you go, is there anything else you want to say about the promotion and any closing words?
Yeah, this Saturday is going to be massive. Probably our biggest fight. We're going to make some announcements too. We've had a couple guys over the last couple of months get called up to the UFC, and one guy in the process going to Dana White Contender Series. And we have the next up and coming talent. We do. We have the next up and coming talent in this business. I'm hoping that because of the platform that I built in the NFL, and we're starting to see a lot of it, that more and more of these football eyes are kind of converting to MMA eyes, and I'm seeing football fans come to the fights in jerseys and their team jerseys, even some of the Raiders jerseys, because I'll do Raiders media and I'll talk trash back and forth to them, but they always show up, man. So we got the next up this Saturday. Get your tickets at lightsoutaccept.com, and make sure you guys download Lights Out Sports TV, which is available on every smart TV, iOS, Android. We got tons of sports there, but we'll be live. And it's free, by the way. So no subscription. Just download Lights Out Sports TV and get on there. And it's free. We'll be live this Saturday. Lights Out Xtreme Fighting 21.